Good to see you, my friend. And Fanatic on a Wednesday. Yeah, I'm filling in for EBC for a couple hours here, taking his time slot today because he's on vacation for a couple weeks. And I'm doing it simply because I got to build a PTCS roster, and I've sucked at it over the last few PTCS, not getting very far. So I thought maybe you guys could help me. Might have a special guest coming on to help me as well with the build. If you are unaware, the PTCS runs this Saturday, and Dishnet comes on, and he is like a chicken loose in the barnyard because he's got to cover 10 different finals over the course of a couple hours. So he will be on once we reach the final stage of the PTCS, the final one for OOTP 24. And then we have the PTMS, which you have to finish in the top 64. But you know what? Let's get started with the usual lap kind of things, and that is with our bounty. You guys wanna get ready in a bounty and try and win some packs? Hey, what do you think? You think you can take me on? You got to follow the rules. You got to meet the requirements, which are down below there. Yeah, there they are. If you want to get in, defeat me. And by defeat me, it means knock me out of the tournament because this is the double elimination bounty. Yeah, double elimination, tournament ID 170. Get in there. I was the first one in, so everyone else will be someone from the chat here. So we should have all compliant teams. And by compliant, if you want to get the packs for knocking me out of the tournament, you have to follow these rules. Today is February 7th, 2024. So all of the cards that you draft, their overall rating must have a 0, a 2, a 7, or a 4 somewhere in their overall rating on the front of the card. I know there are some error cards, but on the front of the card. So that means all your silvers are free today. Yes, Lap is generous on this Wednesday. All your silver cards are free. You could take any silver that you want because every silver has a 7 in it. Other than that, you have to have the last digit as a 0, a 2, a 7, or a 4. You got what it takes? Hey, you got what it takes? Probably. You probably do. It doesn't take much. If it got what it takes was run on batteries, you would need a single AAA. That's all it takes to beat Lap. You don't need those big honking double Ds and double Cs and triple X's and no, that's a different platform. No. You don't need those either. All right, Spudders are in, the Diablos are in, the Wood Ducks, Pops, Dongoria, good to see you, my San Francisco fan of Posey, fan of Bumgartner, fan of bobbleheads that have San Francisco Giants on it. Good to see you, Pops. Jeff Steele Flex checking out the weather. Brian 1ZVX. And we've got a request for emote-only chat. So thank you to the redeemer of emote-only chat. Okay, we're going to flip that on for 10 minutes. You guys can only go emotes for the next 10 minutes. And Jeff Steele Flex loves this one. He loves it. He could go on a emote only for the whole stream. All right. Thank you to Chevo Delaccio 88. Chevo Delaccio 88. For some reason, I'm thinking that's Italian or Mexican. I don't know. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But we're in emote only for the next 10 minutes because someone redeemed their Helm biscuits. Delicious Helm biscuits, which I have not seen any in the chat yet. Come on. Someone redeemed Helm biscuits. Someone should be using the emote of the Helm biscuits. All right, are we full yet? We have 7 out of 16. What? Are you guys lazy on Wednesday mornings? Is it too early in the morning for you guys to attempt a bounty? What's going on? This is usually full by now. 7 out of 16? And 6 of those are probably alts. What's taking place? All right, get involved. It is perfect draft, double elimination, tournament 16 ID 170. Again, all your ratings have to have a number, a digit from today's date, 0207 2024. Let me check the calendar. Yep, that's right. Or as they say in Europe, 0702 2024. You realize that Europe they put the month before the day? What kind of silliness is that? Or do we do that in America and they do the opposite in Europe? I don't know. Do we go February 2nd, 2024, or do we go the 2nd of February, 2024? Lord Christic joined the wrong one. Yeah, it's early, Lloyd Christic. I hear you. How did you get out of emote only chat? How come? Oh, I guess maybe subscribers? I don't know. Maybe subscribers get to use non-emotes. It should be not emote chat. It is clicked on. You guys are rebels. I'm going to have the Twitch police look into that. Let me refresh my my Twitch screen here. What's going on? Emote only chat is turned on. There we go. There we go. Maybe I just had to refresh. All right. So we've got, where are we now? 9 out of 16, 7 more entries. You got 5 packs here. Come on. I do not guarantee you will get an Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, Jackie Robinson, but I do guarantee you'll get at least 1 iron in the 5 packs that you win. I guarantee it, or my name is not EVC and NYC2. Oh, we got the pickle. I love that pickle emote. When I saw that pickle emote, I said, I have to use that. If you're in Australia, you can use an 8. No, no, we cannot travel into the future, Warbot. Nice try. Nice try to try and buck the system. And I said buck with a B for those of you that have poor audio issues. Do not get me into trouble. Do not try to Joe Buck the system. All right, we're playing in 1982, Arlington Stadium. Welcome to Arlington. Double elimination. Well, all of these have a 0 in it, so I'm safe. 2 cards. And not the best cards to choose from. Look at this. Look at what kind of old product are you delivering to me, OOTP? This is old product. This is stale. This is past its expiry date. Come on. Where are all the new ones? Okay, I'm going to take Whitey Ford. And we'll go with a Nap Lejoie, right? Did I do that right? Whitey Ford, Nap Lejoie. Oh yeah. You guys are on mute, on emote only. And we got another redemption. We got Machia Pet. Machia Pet wants to go back to the 70s. Here you go. This one's for you, Machia Pet.
Trekking across the universe.
On the Starship Enterprise, under Captain Kirk.
Star trekking across the universe.
Slowly going forward, completely climbing Earth. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, Jim.
There you go, Machia Pet. A little bit of Star Trek, and every month we add a new verse from the song. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, Jim. Starboard bow, Jim. Yes, there we go. Lord Christic dropping the 3-monther. Welcome to your second trimester, Lord Christic, on the Hound. Thank you for supporting this. Thank you. I can get another razor. Okay, you guys are trying to distract me. I see what you're doing. Okay. Focus. 0207 2024. Real Muto. 207. 207. We got 5 more minutes of emote only chat. so I don't have to pay attention to chat. That's a good, thank you for redeeming that, because I don't have to watch chat now for comments. I can just focus on the draft. All right, Frank Viola and JT Real Muto. Got a 2, got a 4. Newt. How about Toot to Newt Bar and Valentin. Get in the bounty draft here. Again, I'll throw the rules up for those of you that may just be coming in. Here are the bounty rules. You got to use numbers from today's date. Zeros, like Brad Radke. 2s, 7s, or 4s, like Mr. Vern Law. Okay, now we got to focus here. Lap. 2s, 7s, green, and league. Nah, not league. You're out of my league. You're out of this league, Brandon. Epstein, let's get some power. Okajima, I can't use you. I would love to. We've got, can't use Jim or Rick Dempsey. 027s, 4s. Well, I guess we go with Ian Kinsler and Hank Greenberg. All right, silvers are free. I can take any silvers I want because they all have 7s in it. Nolan Ryan and Candy Jim. 3 more minutes of emote-only chat as requested by Chavo Delucho 88. McDowell and Blue Jay Garth Orge. He's going to be my MVP. Sandy Thompson, Jim Brown. Okay, back to focusing again. 0247. 0247. Vern Steffens. No, I got him a lot of shortstops. Okay, we're going to have to take some live guys, I guess. Any live pitchers? Brad Boxberger and Domingo Acevedo. Jeff, that emote. What are you doing there, man? You had too much coffee today. Slow down, buddy. Slow down. It's only 10 o'clock. Way too much coffee in this early in the morning. Sanchez and Abreu. Love that Abreu card. Who doesn't love a little bit of Bobby? Who loves a little bit of Bobby? Tetsuiji does. He loves a little bit of Bobby. Fred McGriff, you have a 7? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We have no other eligible cards. 2, 4, 0, and 7. You gotta be out of your... Go buck yourself. There are no more 0, 2s, 4s, and 7s of all these cards. What are the odds? I'm sure one of you modelers will be figuring that out right now, and you'll say, Lap, it's 0.276538941% that you would only get one with those digits. Okay, who wants to get benched here? Who will we bench? Chris Davis, we're benching you. Last round. What do I need? I haven't even been watching here. This is a modern tournament, so I better take 2 pitchers. 7, 8, 9. There better be 2 pitchers available. 2, 4. Okay, 4 is a good number. All right, we're going to get at least 2 pitchers. Pedro Silva and Chad. Every team needs a Chad. So once you have your roster complete, just go through, take a look at your pitchers and hitters, make sure they have a 0, 2, 4, or a 7 somewhere in there. And I do have to bench one guy. 0247 must have been a hitter. Where are you? Where are you hiding? So I can become compliant. Chris Davis. So go to transaction, send to reserve roster. Okay. Internet is finally back. Don't cut the D block, Dragon. Yes, you were silent for a while. I would have known that, D block, Dragon. You would be on with me right now. Don't cut the D block, Dragon. Right, we're on a break now. We're going to take off. Emote chat is off. We're back to regular scheduled programming with chat. And we're going to go to we're on a break right now. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. I'm going to finish off my fine tweaking of this wonderful draft. See you in 2. All right, we're back, and the draft is done. So Laptop Hound has drafted. He's got 25 players. We're out of emotes only, and no emote only. You get only one screen as well. I am rewarding those that use their hand biscuits. Your hound biscuits. If we're an emote only chat, you don't get to see everything. You don't get to see what's behind the curtain because you're an emote only chat and you can't yell at me. So all you got was Star Wars bounty guy. That's it. We're out of emote only chat now. So be careful using those hound biscuits. Be careful. You won't get to see everything, which, isn't always a bad thing. We are stealth when someone uses that one. Oh, Warbots. Okay. Warbot has redeemed some points here. So you know what we got to do. Thank you, Warbot. We got to go and take a look in and celebrate with one of Warbot's favorite cards in OOTP 23 or 24. Here we go. Give it up for Dave Steeb. Shower
The
him some
signature
love.
of this organization for a glorious decade plus.
It's the last inning. Our guys are winning. Dave's put down a smoker, a strike, and you got no doubt. What do you want?
Dave Steve.
Let's play ball. Okay, Blue Jays. Let's play ball.
We're talking about right-hander Dave Steve. Dave Steve. Dave Steve. Steve.
Hitter Dave Steeb, 1990. Oh, yeah. Showering Dave Steeb with a little bit of love and showing off a little bit from the Today in Dave Steeb History Twitter channel. And yeah, that's what you get for redeeming. You get a little bit of Dave Steeb love. Look at this lithograph. Oh, unusual kind of framing and size, but there is number 37 in all his glory as they count down the top 37 starts of Dave Steeb's career. So today you get number 33, July 25th, 1985. Dave Steeb shuts down the Angels. And they're cruising with a 5-game lead on the Yankees. Angels manager Gene Mauch, he's good, but I don't think anyone in the world is as good as he thinks he is. You sure, Gene? Steeb allows only 3 runners as far as second base. He trims his league lead best ERA to 195, and it's 1.37 since May 17th. So the number 33 all-time best game for Dave Steeb against the Angels, July 25th, 1985. There you go. We showered Dave Steeb with a little bit of love. Yes, had to make that up for yesterday. Dave Steeb. You had to bench a diamond because only one card was eligible. Really? Of all those cards, because this was a big, I think you had 12 to choose from. That's what I had in one of my bronze rounds. So I feel bad for you, Dogberry, because you had to pick one from this kind of level. Diamond. All right, I think we're all set. Let's go and exit out of here. And Spore, I did get your message, and in the future, you are good to go. You are good to go. Spore wanted to get in on bounty and clarify the rules, so I don't know if he did get in, but only cards that have a 0, a 2, a 4, or a 7 based on today's date. We got 7 more spots in the draft, in the bounty. Come on, chat. There's a lot of you here. You must have an empty slot. Get involved. There it is. There's the rules right here. Right there. Right down there. Usually where Charles sits. That's Charles' spot. Right down there. 02/07/2024. That is today's date. You have to have a card with one of those digits on the front of the card. So that means all your silver cards are free. So get in, draft your team, make sure it's compliant, and we'll see you in the bounty once it fires off. Oh. Well, Charles, now you tell me. Did I forget to erase that? Oh, yeah. ID, double elimination. There you go. So if you entered the wrong one, well, have fun. Have fun in that one as well. Good luck in the iron to bronze. It's Wednesday. I don't usually stream Wednesday. I'm a little bit more fluffered after the Oiler loss and the Philadelphia Flyer win. What kind of world is this where the Flyers win and the Oilers lose on the same night? Yeah, it was bad timing for that emote only chat. People were trying to get me messages and they couldn't. So I was getting things on Discord and is it this? Is it that? What is it? Yeah, there we go. We're out of emote only chat. But when you use emote only chat, you don't get the whole screen. You don't get the whole picture. You should be a little bit blinded with emote only chat. That's the purpose. Okay, let's leave the bounty. We're going to take those rules off. Actually, I'm going to leave them sliding along the bottom of the screen because we are still not full. We have 10 out of 16. Should Warbot be a mod? Kava. We need to talk. Yes, I probably should add a couple more mods. I'm not used to emote only chat and all the limitations of it. Now I know. This was a good testing ground on a Wednesday. Well, guys, we got a lot to get through today because the purpose of today's stream was to do a little bit of PTCS roster building. So let's give you some of the deets, some of the details about the PTCS, the final one of the cycle. And you can go to this link right here if you need to. And that is the official post from DishNet Out of the Park Baseball. And it gives you all the information you need to know for this Saturday's PTCS tournament, for the different 10 levels of the tournament, what kind of restrictions that you have, the different positional breakdowns. If you're in one of the perfect drafts, keep in mind you're only going to get 6 choices for most of the cards. You're going to have a lot of starting pitching options, but only 6 catchers, 6 right fielders, 6 relievers. Usually we get, 10 or 12. So that's a very important detail to keep in mind because you might think, oh, here's my 6 catcher. I got 4 more coming. Nope. You're only going to get 6 of each. So make a note of that. What else do we got? Cavacom, yeah, I'm gonna give you back those points, Gabagoo Luigi, because Cavacom's at work. Cavacom has to work, or we can redeem those at a later date when Cavacom has more time off. Cavacom streaming WWE wrestling yesterday. Give a quick shout out to Cavacom. Doesn't always stream Out of the Park Baseball. That is his Sunday gig, but he was on yesterday streaming a little bit of wrestling. Yeah, have you seen Warbot try to mod in his own? None of you guys would be here. You'd all be muted or something. He would like, what's this button do? Oh, it mutes everyone. Oh, okay. Which for my stream would be apropos. So here's the points breakdown again for the PTMS qualifying. If you're still trying to qualify for the PTMS, here is your last chance. If you get first or second, you're probably almost guaranteed of getting in, maybe even third and fourth. So finish in the top 4 of this Saturday's tournament, and you have a good chance of getting into the PTMS. There you go. So the link there is down in the chat if you want to check that out. I'll even pin it as I know how to pin. Your prizes, top 32 from 17 to 32. You're going to get yourself a Merrill Kelly PT Elite. Good pitcher, Babbitt. Good stuff. Rusty, good old Rusty from the Montreal Expos. They got the Montreal Expos logo on there. Love it. My favorite logo in Major League Baseball is the Expos. And that is a good eye, gap power kind of gold card. We got the catching Ivan Rodriguez, 5th to 8th place for Ivan. Look at that catcher ability. Look at that arm. Don't put him in the outfield, even though it has outfield characteristics on there. And he's got good gap power, decent BABIP and power, but no eye. Not a Charles card for sure. 3rd and 4th, you're going to get yourself a Francisco Lindor. Avoid K, I, a lot of infield range, good shortstop, good speed. And then the premium cards this cycle. We got the Smokey Joe Wood. Smokey Joe. Everyone's going to want to get some Smokey Joe. He's got 3 pitches. He can bat. Got movement, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be amongst the elite pitchers out there. And numero uno, Stan Musial, perfect card, PTCS champion will get this. 10 people will have this card in their pocket. 20 people will have this card in their pocket, but only 10 will get this one. And that is a lot of blue other than the I. So it can play left field, center field, right field, first base, of course, DH. So that is what you're playing for this weekend. The ballpark is Gwangju Kia. Champions Field is where you're going to play tournaments in all levels. So all 10 tournaments will use the same ballpark, and it is a pitcher friendly Babbitt Park and slightly a hitter home run park in Gwangju Kia Field. Is that right? Yeah. Doubles, triples. I thought the home runs were under 1, too, but apparently not. Looks like home runs are above 1. So slightly home run favored and kind of suppresses your Babbitt guys. So I probably important, some power, not a lot of doubles and triples. So gap power is probably not that important. And it's played in I believe it's 1968 environment. Thought I saw that somewhere. Someone confirmed. There it is, 1968. So if you're playing in 1968, you can go and check out the environment differences between modern and 1968 by going to that link there. Once you go to that link, click on 2010 and go down to 1968. Click on that one. And there we go. You can compare the two different environments. Ballpark, again, will have a little bit of a role, but pretty much what you need to know is everything is down. Everything is lower in 1968. Runs are lower significantly. Hits are lower. Doubles are lower. Home runs are lower. RBIs are lower. Stolen bases, walks, strikeouts. Look at the average for 1968, 237. Plus, we're in a low Babbitt ballpark. So again, we're probably going to see averages around the 225 mark, I'm guessing. Home runs might bring it up a little bit, but it's not excessive home run for the ballpark. So it's 0.61 in kind of a average environment. We might see like 0.64, 0.65 for home runs. And then we've got the on-base percentage, slugging, OPS down as well. So yeah, we're probably going to see a lot of low-scoring games in the tournament here. Of course, you'll have your one-offs. You'll have your 10-6 games and your 11-9 games from time to time. But for the most part, based on the environment, we should see some low-scoring games. So there you go. You got the website. You can check it out for yourself, the different environments. And that's what we're going to be kind of trying to gauge my drafting, my roster construction on. And usually my good friend Don't Cut the D-Block Dragon and I do a lot of iron and bronze discussion. D-Block had internet issues over the last few days. Apparently it's resolved. But in the meantime, I asked my other card evaluator to come on to help me out. And that was the guy you're going to see tomorrow as well. Welcome back to the show. The guy that is down in that spot down below in the corner. Warbot, how you doing?
Not bad. Thanks for having me. Always a lot of fun. It's been fun to do this with D-Block, actually, because we have two different views on a lot of things. So you get kind of both ends of it. But,
well, and D-Block, if you're available, if you can come on right now, let me know and I'll send you the link, because that will be a fun conversation, you know, between which cards we should be drafting for this tournament with you and Charles. I can definitely send you the link if you're free, because I just found out 10 minutes ago. You can come on? All right. Excellent. Good.
that'll be a lot of fun. Let's do that.
All right. So let's do that. So let me take the break's about to come up. So let's take our quick break here. We'll bring D Block on with Charles, and we'll put together my bronze and iron and see how that goes. All right, back in 2 minutes.
All right.
All right, look what the cat brought in all the way from Germany. Internet resolved. That must have been frustrating for you there,
Oh,
D Block.
Terrible. Like living in the 90s back again. Well, the 90s were cool, but hey, 90s with them would be more cool.
The question is, did the internet get better?
With
Did you get
what?
faster?
Compared to what?
Compared to what you had, did they give you did they upgrade it to a faster
Well,
speed?
compared to yesterday, it must be faster, right?
Yeah.
I had like first of all, I was on the wireless LAN from my landlord, but it was like a 2 megabit wireless LAN that I had, so that was really terrible. And it was okay with my phone, but my my data volume was gone there already. So yeah, I was stuck with
either
that
of
2
you been?
megabit internet.
So good, much better. Have either of you been to the ballpark that we're playing in? Charles, have you been to this Champions Field?
Nope.
How about you, D Block? Have you been over
Nah,
to
never been to
Japan?
Korea.
No, no. Or Korea. This is in Korea or Japan? Korea?
Korea.
It should be Korea.
Oh, okay. So this is the ballpark that we're playing in, just to kind of give you an idea to make it, feel a little bit more realistic here. A few pictures from the Korean ballpark. Look at that. Look like dips down there. That's interesting. What else do we got going on here?
I think this is a PT Plus ballpark.
Yeah, I believe it is. I believe they have to use, ballparks that are at least one of the levels of the game. So this is where we're playing. Again, you saw the different modifiers that I showed on the screen a little bit earlier. So have fun in those. Let's start with you, Charles. How many did you qualify? I know you had a rough kind of month with travel and things like that. How many were you able to get in this round?
I think I ended up in 7 or something. I just some of the ones that you need a long queue time for, I just couldn't recover from playing OOTP Go for a couple weeks, but that's fine. I actually think if they're setting it up well, you kind of want different people qualifying for different things anyway.
And D Block, how about you? Of all your teams, how many of the 10 different levels do you get to play in?
I'm not qualified for the drafts, both. And I'm not qualified for Diamond.
Okay, so congratulations. Yeah, I'm just in bronze, iron, and gold. I was 2 or 3 spots out from qualifying for one of the drafts, which I was a little bit upset about. So first, before we get into looking at the bronze, how much does the environment of 1968? How much does the ballpark? Starting with you, D Block, how much do you think? Because this is great. We're going to have 2 different opinions on types of cards to use, and that's what makes something like this really good, because we're given a variety of opinions, not just like we all agree on the same thing. D Block, how much do you think this ballpark and environment is going to affect card selection?
I think it a lot, especially if you have like an approach like I do, with more like a Babbitt approach. That I really have to get over my thinking of going for Babbitt more than I. I think the Charles approach with Power I here is much more usable, and so I will have to actually look for other cards than my usual cards if there are better ones. So I really have to evaluate cards basically completely new.
And Charles, do you agree that this is one of those tournaments? I mean, you always go Power I almost regardless, but is this even more cause to look for those types of cards?
Well, it depends on the era. I mean, usually I'm looking at Power and I just because they're more efficient, but like in a dead ball tournament, I'm doing something else. I think here, this is one where Power is probably not as important. You were just showing the kind of the factors for 1968, right? And I think there are 2 things that are kind of noticeable, right? You point out that the home runs are down. But the other thing that's kind of interesting here, usually one of the things we think about for early eras is there aren't as many strikeouts. But actually, there were a lot of strikeouts in 1968. Strikeouts are down from the modern era, but not as much as you might think. So players are going to strike out.
So does that mean then you have to focus more on avoid K then?
If your goal is to avoid strikeouts, yeah. On the other hand, I guess there's a second thing that happens, which isn't just in these. So one of the ways you can think about is sort of what does it take to score a run? Imagine you were playing like slow pitch softball or something, so that, pretty much it's easy to get on base, right? Well, in that environment, if you get a single, you're probably going to end up scoring anyway. So it doesn't really matter whether you get a single or a double or even a home run, you're probably going to score. So just every hit is good. And so if you were playing like slow pitch softball, BABIP is great. This is the opposite. It's so hard to score runs that most guys that get on base with a single aren't going to come around and score. So here, even if you have a guy that gets a lot of singles, he's maybe not producing as many runs as he would in the modern era when it's easier for him to come around and score. So I think the value of players that either hit home runs or get extra base hits, or maybe can steal bases when they do get on for a single, or just something is probably going to go up. Or I guess another way you can look at it. Let me see if I can find a link here. I can put a link in the chat. So there's someone that's calculated sort of these WOBA weights for different eras. So what they're doing is they're kind of asking, like, let's say you get a home run. How many extra runs is a home run worth? Right? And they've kind of gone in historical data and tried to work this out. So in the modern era, a home run is worth like a little bit more than twice as much as a single. But in this era, it's actually more like 2.5. It's a little over 2.5 times as much as a single.
Oh,
So it's kind of this funny situation where it is very hard to hit home runs because people weren't hitting a lot of home runs in 1968. But home runs are still actually valuable because it's so hard to score runs without hitting them. So it's kind of going to be a funny compromise.
all right. So in your opinion, then, Charles, we'll go back to you first. The era is more important than the ballpark in this type of situation?
Yeah, definitely. Like if you think about home runs, the ballpark says they're 3%. It's a 3% difference, 3% more home runs. The era says there are 60% fewer home runs. And the WOBA weight thing says that home runs are like 10 to 15% more important. So of those three differences, the ballpark's the least important.
Okay. So when we're looking at this is the chart that I'm assuming you're referring to.
Yeah.
What is it? This W, again, I'm not a stat guy.
Yeah,
So
you can think about reading that as how many runs does this tend to be worth? Like if I told you that your
okay.
player is going to get, an extra double in 2010, that meant your team was going to score an extra 1.27 runs.
Okay. So in this case, for home runs, if we go to 1968, a home run's worth 2.25 runs. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Compared to just the modern era, or just
No, just in
Is it-
general. Like if you
general.
told me, if you told me your team's going to hit 10 extra home runs, you're getting 23 more runs.
Oh wow.
That's kind of what that
Okay.
means.
Okay. D Block, any do you kind of follow these kind of statistics and weigh in on those?
No, I don't go that deeply into that. But yeah, basically, that's what I meant with the power eye. With the eye is the most important there. That's what I thought, and that you actually need the home run to get those walks in, and even though with the error that the home runs are reduced, they get probably even more important by that. That you have guys that do have a chance to hit a home run, and not like. Let's take somebody like Mondesi, who has who does hit home runs sometimes, but in this era probably won't.
Okay. Well, let's get to it because we only have until 2 p.m. Eastern, and then we got to go over to another affiliate here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I actually have to run for practice in a little over half hour, so we got to.
Okay. All right. So let's get to it. Let's run to it, and then D Block, if you have time, you can stick around and we can go through iron. But let's go through bronze here. So I just entered in. It gives you all the different details. It will not show you the modifiers for the park. It'll show you as zeros. So that's why it's important to go to that message that I showed you earlier. Go to the forum if you want to see the modifiers, or go to.
Well, in a park where all the modifiers are zeros, what works really well is I, because you can still walk.
Yes, yes. Well, speaking of different qualified cards, I love that they give you the eligible only. That's one of my favorite features, is they only show eligible cards for a tournament. And again, for bronze, it is, I believe, rookie sensations and unsung heroes. Is that correct?
I think it's just those two, right?
Yeah, yeah. No LEs or anything like that. So let's start with pitchers. So I don't know what the best way to do is, if it's to filter by a certain, category, pitching ratings or things like that. When you're constructing a team, D Block in this case, how would you go about checking out the pitchers? Would you just go through all 10 pages and look for familiar names, or would you sort them some sort of way?
No, first of all, the first thing I'm looking for is, I'm looking for PBABIP. That's the first thing I'm sorting them. And after that, I'm going actually by filters then.
Okay.
Then
And
I'm
how about
saying,
you,
okay,
Charles?
I want the filters between that and that range.
Okay. So
I
let's
don't as much sort this way because I'm usually just kind of building from a model. So
right.
from the model's point of view, there's no difference between looking at a few cards and looking at all the cards and just seeing which ones pop up at the top of the list.
Okay. So we
But
have
yeah, I think that's right. I think the most important thing, in this era, just preventing base runners is going to be important. It's hard for base runners to score anyway. So some combination of PBABIP and control will probably be most important. And then stuff, as I was sort of showing, you are still going to strike out some hitters. So maybe stuff is like the third most important. And then home run prevention probably last, because there's still, as much as homers are more important, there just aren't going to be a lot of them in this format.
okay. So what do you think
And,
for
and one other important difference, which is because it's 1968, one that's often important for overalls but does not really matter here is stamina, because a low stamina starter is still going to get you a lot of innings.
okay. So we don't have to put anything in for stamina. So what would you recommend, if we're setting up a filter for those new people out there that may have never done filters before and they don't want to go through reams of cards, what would you say, D Block, for a pitcher BABIP? At least what?
First of all, for the filters, I wouldn't put any pitcher BABIP in there. I would sort the pitchers after the pitcher BABIP, and then for control, I would put at least 70.
At least 70. Okay. And for stuff?
I would say at least 80.
Oh. Charles, weigh in. If we're filtering,
I don't tend to use filters as much as just kind of look at
right with the
in
model.
total what's on the card, because you can have a player that's really bad in one of these but is so good in everything else that that they end up okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
actually,
if
I wouldn't use stuff as a filter there, but sort after PBABIP, have the control at 70, and then just have the stuff next to the PBABIP, so you can just see it better.
Okay. So let's do that. Let's go. Let's kind of customize this and let's put pitcher ratings. Let's just put PBABIP, and we'll bring that over here to the start. And then we got stuff and control. Just save this quickly.
No, that's BABIP, what you have right there.
What's that?
Yeah, PBABIP is next between movement and what is that stuff?
Oh, that's versus right and versus left, though. This is just
right.
the general. This
That's
is the general.
okay.
Yeah. So we got pitcher BABIP. That's versus left. Pitcher BABIP overall. There we go. Stuff, control stuff. Yeah. Okay. So there are kind of our three main categories there. So if we're sorting by pitcher BABIP, see here we get a case of a situation like Warren Hacker, who's got a very good pitcher BABIP, very controversial card, like a Cliff Lee controversy. Opposite though, D Block, is this the guy you put on because of that pitcher BABIP, or now you look at the stuff and you go, no, he's not viable?
I wouldn't put him on straight away. I would more look. First of all, I would more look for bronze cards first before I look at iron cards.
Okay. So again,
I'm definitely running Hacker in 1968. Modern era, it's a little different, but in 1968, I'm definitely running him.
I'm probably running him, but I don't know if I'm starting him. That's the thing.
There's one thing I want you to notice, though, if you go back to that list, because I think there's one more thing you're going to want to think about in putting a rotation together, which really matters in a tournament like the PTCS, where people are putting a lot of thought into their lineups, and so you're getting something pretty solid, which is notice that at the top of your list, your top, 10 or so pitchers are all right-handed.
Yeah, up to Bob Carruthers, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think this is going to be a very right-handed tournament. And that also means that when people are building lineups, they should be thinking a lot more about lineups against righties than lefties. So there are a few ways that you can handle that when you're building a lineup. One is you do what everyone else is doing. You just go ahead and mash the righties. But the other is you kind of think about, is there anything I can do to kind of be a little bit different? If everyone's only focusing on their righties, is there any way that I can get lefties into this? I don't think there is in this case. I think there just aren't enough lefties. But it's definitely something you're going to want to notice when we put lineups together. This is a very right-handed turn.
Yes, I see that. So, I mean, if you do go lefties, there's Bob Carruthers, there's Dallas Braden. I mean, you're getting some lefties, but no one with a pitcher BABIP of over 80. 81, 82 is kind of the highest. So, is it worth that risk though to take these lefty starters to try and play the spoiler the other way? What do you think, D Block? Are you still going norm with the righties, or do you try and change it up a little bit? It's a big risk.
I would try to if you already know that you are there on that Saturday and that you can micromanage your teams. I would definitely put in some lefty starters into my bullpen at least, so that when I'm running into a team that has a lot of lefty power guys, for example, that I could switch in a Dallas Braden, for example.
Yeah,
that's what
right.
I would probably think there. That have them ready to be put in. But for my regular first round lineup that I'm going to put out there, I'm just probably going to go with my list there.
Okay. Well, Charles, you use a model, and in your model, I'm sure you just plug in the era, the ballpark.
Yeah, so I start out with the top ones in the model, and then I will adjust a bit depending on things like this, like how right-handed or left-handed I want to be.
Can you give us like one of the 5 starters your model recommends for bronze? And so we have at least a starting point to look at the
Do you want me to give you all 5 or just
give us 3 starters that.
So I think the ones I've got is the top 3 of this park in 1968. I've got Luis Castillo. I just have a lot better than everybody else. He's going to be just below your control cap probably, but he's kind of good enough at everything else that I still want to play him. And then I've got Hacker and Van Gilder, who probably will be on your screen somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, they were. Both were.
Why is it not showing all?
And the only reason I'm okay with Castillo, because I'd love it if he had more control, but he just has so much more of everything else that I'm okay with the control that's a little bit below 70.
Okay. So Castillo was one. Who is the second one?
And then Hacker and Van Gilder.
Okay. Hacker and Van Gilder. And those are Hacker's a 50.
He's a 50, but in an early era, the ratings he's missing that make him a 50 just aren't hurting him very much in this era.
Okay. And what was the rating of Van Gilder?
61.
61, yeah.
61. Okay. Let's take a look there. Van Gilder. Okay. So D Block, what do you think about those 3 that the model puts out there? Castillo, Hacker, and Van Gilder as starters.
First of all, with Van Gilder, he would have been when everything came out. I took a look at that, and he was definitely the one I was having in there with that control, with that PBAB. It was very clear. The Castillo, even though he wasn't on with that control, that it was just below that with a 64. He would have been probably in there too. I mean, he is one of my regulars anyway, so that's where I'm probably going to look first with my actual, with my actual regulars and how they fit in. And after that, he would be there, of course.
Okay.
And of course, you can't just say that I have a cap at 70, and if somebody's 69, you can't use them. That's of course just not true. It's just an estimation where I want to go, and if it's 5 below or 6 below, that doesn't really matter. It's just I want to weed out the 40 or 35 control guys. I don't even want to bother with them. That's it. Which weeds out a lot of iron pitchers for the most part there.
Yeah, those of you that are just coming in, there's still some spots in the bounty. You see it scrolling around the bottom there. Get in the bounty, still 4 spots left. Again, you can win 5 packs if you knock me out of the tournament. You have to draft all cards that have a 0, 2, or a 7, or a 4 in the rating. Today is February the 7th, 2024. So you have to have a 0, 2, 4, or 7 on the front of the card. So all silvers are free because they all start with 7. After that, you got to find the last digit as a 0, 2, or 4. So get in, still a few spots left in that. One card that I've been pumping lately because it's done so well in the laptop daily. Again, different environment. It's 1985, different rotating ballparks. Charles, where does it have a guy like Cliff Lee? Is he viable? Because he's kind of going to give up a lot of hits.
Yeah, so I've got Cliff Lee as the top lefty starter, and I have him just outside my top 5. So if you decide it's really important to run some lefties, he's probably your best lefty starter. If you just want to pick your top 5 starters, I've got him as number 7.
And would he be better as a bullpen stopper in this case, or if you're going to use him, you're going to use him as a starter?
You could use him out of the bullpen too. In fact, one of the things you could do with all of these righty starters is you could try to run. So because it's an early era, you have a little bit of extra room in the bullpen. So you could do the same thing you've been doing in dead ball. Instead of running a 5-man rotation, you could run a 4-man rotation with these short hooks. And then you could maybe use 2 lefties as the long relievers. So you start with righties, then you bring in lefties next, maybe use up their pinch hitters, and then you go back to the righties at the back end of the bullpen. And if you did something like that, then I think Cliff Lee has to be one of your 2 or 3 lefties.
D-Block, give me another pitcher that you would probably strongly consider in your rotation.
Yeah, just let me look at it. First of all, with Cliff Lee, remember the first go around with the 5L? We were in 1969.
Yeah.
And he was the best pitcher there too.
Yeah.
Cliff Lee. When
Yeah.
we played in that era, the 5L. So he would definitely be in there. Usually I play him more in the bullpen, but I think here I would actually start him. I was thinking about somebody like the Mark Melangelo, for example. He would be somebody I would think about as a starter.
Yeah, I think he'd be real strong.
Okay. Just trying to think like a Jared Burton in terms of your bullpen. Here we have a case of the control and stuff being weaker. Stuff I don't think is as important in this era. But Charles, what about a guy like Burton in the bullpen with that control?
I'm still going to run him. I would love it even more for the era if you could switch his control with one of the other ratings, but he's a bronze card, right? If you made his control 100 as well, he'd be a gold card instead. So all the bronze cards are going to have some reason that they're bronze.
And yeah, Ezra, bounty rules, any digit on the card, on the front of the card has to be a 0, 2, 7, or 4. Of course, only silver will have 7 starting, so you can draft any silver you want. Otherwise, the last digit has to be one of those numbers. D-Block, same thing with Burton. This is probably a must-have in your bullpen.
Yeah, definitely. With that P-Beta, you really want him in there as a bullpen guy. I'm not so concerned about the control. I'm betting on that he is having that 1 inning that he's in there, maybe the 2 innings that he's in there, he's going to do fine. And actually, like you said, the stuff is not that important. Well, Charles just showed that strikeouts do happen there a lot. So that is the 63 stuff is okay. I think it's not that bad that it's not even lower than that. So he's okay. He's definitely somebody I'm going to run.
And last picture, and then we'll look at a few hitters because Charles has to run. Mike Timlin, you love him or hate him. Here's a guy, high pitcher BABIP, really good control. Charles, where does he fit on your model? Is this a guy that we should be putting on our team?
Look, I like Timlin even in the modern era. In this ballpark in 1968, all the things that Timlin's lousy at just don't hurt you as much as they do otherwise. So that just makes him even better.
Okay.
I hate this card. Yeah, I hate this card in modern because those 28 home run suppression it hurt me so often, so badly in exactly the wrong moments. So I just banned him from all my rosters. But here in this era, I don't care about that. Yeah, he would with that PBABIP and that control. He's I would be very shocked if I don't have him on my roster.
Okay. Charles, one more pitcher we haven't mentioned, maybe a number 4 or 5 guy on your list there. That
sure. I can just give you a few other names to think about for like a last starter. Greg Harris is one that you're going to see in a lot of, you kind of have seen in a lot of bronze tournaments. He's kind of he's the right shape. Boof Bonser is one where a lot of people don't think about starting him in bronze because he only has 59 stamina. But in this era, 59 stamina is fine. So you could start him. And maybe Porto Carrero, then you're kind of going down the list a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think from the name, I think if you're starting from kind of the names we mentioned, you're probably in the right ballpark.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some of the hitters then. And again, we have our favorites. We have our so-called meta that we play in a lot of tournaments. But how does home run power or power and eye we talked about earlier probably be important. So if we're sorting just by power, we're bringing up again these guys like Matt Olson and Evan Gaddis. And so let's start maybe with a couple must-have, Charles, according to your model. Like if people don't have a couple of these guys, who are they? Who are the must-haves?
Let's see if I can get a good list. Actually, I'm trying to actually make a list and having a little trouble. But the kind of card that I would love for this era is a card like Brock Holt, where he has some eye. He still is going to get singles, but he also turns a lot of those singles into doubles. But then he's also just an excellent defensive infielder as well. So you're kind of getting both.
Okay. D Block, are you because we can use less pitchers, are you then looking to have platoons at almost every position?
Probably, excuse me, probably because since I am running already so many platoons that I'm having only 11 pitchers and sometimes even only 10 pitchers in my modern era, that I will try to really make most usage of platoons so I get the best pitchers against, even though we probably won't have a lot of lefty pitchers, I will still run that. One of the guys I would really look at, for example, the new Kevin Biggio, that would be somebody I would really look at.
Okay. I think Charles,
I usually do not play in modern era, but I think this is one of the guys that I could really think about putting in there.
Yeah, I really like him, but probably more as a DH. I don't really want him to see the field in second or right with those ratings, and I think at first base, you might be able to find an even bigger bat.
So defense, you're saying, is still really important in this era.
Yeah.
And that's something that D Block kind of, especially at the lower levels, defense maybe not being as important. I know you like this Hugh Nickel card. Is this a guy that you throw on there because of his defense, or are there just too many good bronze guys? I mean, even in Iron, if you're playing Iron PTCS, is Hugh Nickel a must-have?
See, I thought was Iron Special Edition only or not? I forget now.
Oh no, Iron is OOTP era, so he wouldn't qualify anyway.
Okay, so we can't play Iron. One other thing you notice about Hugh Nickel is the base running is incredible. And because it's so hard to score runs, I'm willing to try to steal bases and get thrown out a bunch in this era. So if
Oh.
I've got an extra roster spot, I don't hate the idea of using a roster spot for someone that's a pinch runner, plays excellent defense. So, if he ends up in the game in extra innings afterward, that's probably okay. And, he at least walks, so he'll get on base some.
Okay. I know JoJo White's a popular card too. Is maybe fallen out of the meta a little bit lately with the newer cards. Charles, is he a viable option in this era, in this tournament?
I think that depends on one really important question, which is, do you think they're going to be lefties? So I think the key decision you're going to be making when building a roster here, normally when you think about a platoon, you have your verse righty option, you have your verse lefty option. So this is a really good verse lefty option to pair with, say, another Tiger like Akil Baddoo. However, if you think that you're only going to see right-handed starters and there's going to be maybe one or two left-handed relievers in bullpens in total, maybe instead of a verse righty and verse lefty option, you actually want a verse righty starter and a verse righty backup. And if you do that, then JoJo White doesn't make the roster because his job is to hit against lefties.
Okay. We know, D Block, you love the Johnny Dickshot card, one of your favorite cards, that you have been using. Does Johnny Dickshot, does Ugly get into your roster?
I think he's going to have a tough time for me this time because his strength is actually the BABIP more than the eye. And I think, he's an overall good card, though. He has a little bit of power. He has good enough avoid K. But if BABIP and I would be reversed, he would definitely have a good chance of making the lineup. But with it being the way it is right now, I think I probably will find better options than him. But he would still be a good, maybe a good backup, something like that. He's better against the lefties than the righties, and especially there aren't a lot of good guys against lefties. Most of the players I usually use their Benintendi, Baddoo. They're all better against righties than Dickshot, but they are worse against them than lefties. So he might make as a backup or a platoon guy against lefty make the team, but that would be the only niche that he has probably. For everything else, I think the lack of eye is gonna disqualify him probably, which is very sad for me.
Charles, I'm sure you would agree with that eye that his card construction just isn't suited for this environment.
Yeah, look, there is one card with low eye that I would think about playing here. I would think about running Keston Hiura as a DH maybe. I know he has low eye. Believe me, I wish the card had more eye, and then it would be an easy decision. But he just has so much of everything else that, ultimately what I want players that are going to get on base. A single is still a way of getting on base. And in his case, not only does he have sort of singles as a way of getting on base, but he has a ton of gap power. So he's actually going to hit a lot of doubles as well. And he does have power versus righties. Home runs are down, but he's going to hit a few of them. So when I add everything up, I think you could run this card at DH if you wanted to. I might still run Kevin Biggio because of how much I like eye, but I think this one's viable.
And I'm sure D Block would agree with you there with that here. I know he's promoted him a lot as being someone you need to have in the lineup. Well, Charles, how much time do you have left here?
10 or 15 minutes. I actually kind of got to run to practice. So
okay,
let's go through first. We can.
Yeah, let's go through maybe a couple catchers people should consider. There's not a lot to choose from this era in terms of bronze. We just got a handful here. I would probably just looking at the names, an Evan Gaddis, a Hank Conger, a Bruce Bochy. Anyone else there that you might consider for catcher?
I think there's almost nothing but Conger and Maine, unless your model says that catcherability completely is meaningless. But unless you're kind of on the like catcher ability doesn't matter at all train, it's pretty much Conger and Maine are like much better than anybody else. And you need 2 catchers.
All right. Okay. D Block, I know you like Brent Maine, you like Conger as well, so I'm sure you're on board with a couple of those. D Block, first baseman, who stands out for you as first base? We like, Bagwell, Biggio again can play first, Burrell. Who do you like at first?
I actually looked a little bit at the Pancho Herrera.
What
he
rating is he?
He doesn't have that much eye there, so I might take that a little bit back, but I really like that card.
Okay. And Charles, what's the model say for a first baseman?
If you're platooning him, probably Olsen and Bagwell. But if you had to just run one both ways, then maybe you just go with Bagwell. And if you're only caring about righties, then that's where you might play Olsen and just use Biggio as the backup and save a roster spot.
Okay. Second base. Again, we got a few options. We got that Biggio, the Brock Holt. A lot of people are going to play. Here is there, which again is more of a DH card. Poncho can also play there. We'll start with you, Charles, this time. What's the model kind of saying for a second baseman? Piggy Ward?
Yeah, I think those are the key ones. Maybe the other one, the more you think lefties might end up playing, the more Nico Goodrum would make sense on the roster. And his defense is good enough that he's a perfectly good backup versus righties as well. So
Yeah,
I'm not
he
sure
could
if
play
you start him
first too,
anywhere, but he's probably somewhere.
D Block?
He would be viable at first too, I think, Nico.
Goodrum?
Yeah, he's at least eligible. I want my big bat at first, but he definitely plays first if you need to back it up.
Okay.
Yeah, my first choice probably is Piggy. He has everything but the power, and since I don't really care about that power there at that spot, he has good enough BABIP. He has a great eye, good contact, decent defense. So he's probably that's what I was thinking was my first thought was this is a Piggy thing here.
Shortstop. We don't have all the LEs, so no Ozzie Smith, Kevin Stalker, and all those other LEs to worry about. We've got still a good selection, but again, a lot of these multi-positional guys. Charles, who is the go-to shortstop here? Do you go defense with Greg Gagne, or do you have to have some sort of bat with like a Bobby Smith, Brock Holt?
So first off, you're probably going to have several people on the roster that play short. Holt can play short if you want someone else to play second. Nico can play second. Short. Piggy Ward technically can stand at short. I don't understand why. Clearly, I'm going to have to go back and yell at my model, but it kind of likes Bones Eli in this era, just because it likes the glove so much.
Charles, what's happened to you in the last month? Kira, and now you got Bones Eli and Jeff Francoeur. What's going on?
Well, we should do this on another show sometime and go through it. But look, I think the idea is the reason that I was a good shorthand is that early in the cycle, you were kind of getting a lot more value in terms of what adding 10 points of I and what that gave you didn't cost you much in terms of overall. So the same way that it's not that pitcher BABIP is the only important rating, it's that adding a lot of pitcher BABIP wasn't bumping the overall rating very much. So it was just a really good shorthand of look at the ones that have good pitcher BABIP. They probably are overstated. So I's a little bit more like that. So you can make a card where the way they get on base is singles and doubles instead of walks, and they still get on base.
D Block, I know you like Bones Eli. I like Bones Eli, so I think that's a card we're definitely going to consider. Is there any other must-have for you, D Block shortstop, or is it just that mix and match with these multi-positional guys that you can fit in?
Probably this is more the mix and match there. The Aviles is there too. He's he doesn't have the eye, so I don't really have to think about that one. He's great against lefties though, and has basically everything against lefties. So if I'm playing a platoon there, he might be someone I would consider against lefties. But the Bones Eli stands above me for me above everybody else there.
All right, third base. Again, we've got those mix and match guys. Charles, anyone stand out? Bobby Smith, maybe as a third baseman. He's better against righties.
Claviano's the one I'd look at adding, but just because I know what Izadafo is going to say, he's going to say, just look at Jake Lamb. That bat is huge.
Yeah, Jake Lamb is another one. So Lamb, Glaviano.
Yeah, so Glaviano's more my kind of card, but I think I got to mention Jake Lamb, who I'm almost certain Izadafo is going to say you should be running at third, especially versus righties.
Well, D Block, break the tie. Who do you like, Glaviano, Lamb, or someone else?
I like the Lamb pick there a lot. I would definitely play him in the iron there, and I have been playing him more and more in my regular lineup there as the card against righties. So I like that pick of the Lamb.
Okay, Charles, last one quick before you have to go. Outfielders, give us a few outfielders here that we should consider. We talked about Dick Schott before. Who stands out in the outfield?
Yeah, we mentioned a few of them. We mentioned Baду, JoJo White, if you think they're lefties. Otherwise, maybe you do something else. The decision I'm going to be agonizing over is whether I want Kiermaier or Rosenthal in center. Because I love what you get with Rosenthal with that, eye over 100 plus excellent defense. And then Kiermaier is, literally the best center fielder in the game defensively. The bat, I'm not so thrilled with, but you look at that glove and you think, in an era where no one's really going to hit anyway, maybe just go with this incredible defensive center fielder. So that's the one I'm going to be agonizing over.
And this is where D Block and you might disagree a little bit with the outfield here. D Block, who do you like in terms of outfield choices?
You might be very surprised that I am, even though I really do not like the Rosenthal card at all, normally. He's going to be somebody I'm considering. I will definitely still consider Ryan Sweeney, but probably more as a corner outfielder. And one card with those two great defenders in there, I think I can afford a Patsy Doherty.
I think, yeah.
Charles, is an option that your model might like too?
Yeah, you could go with a big bat. I think I'm going to go with one of the defensive options. I just don't know which. I think if I were going to go, with just put a big bat in the corner outfield and not worry about it, I might think about running Kevin Biggio and right if I were going to do that. I don't think I'm going to. I think I am going to run the big defensive card. But
well, what about
Biggio
Sweeney,
is eligible
though?
to play right, and he does have a huge bat compared with your other corner outfielders.
Is Sweeney just the wrong card makeup here for his bat?
No, Sweeney's not bad. I've got Sweeney as a solid option and right also. But I'd be even more interested in Sweeney if there were also lefties to worry about.
Right. Okay. We'll let you go here, Charles. Let me just give you a couple more names that are familiar names out there. Shane Halter. We know Izadafo likes Shane Halter. Is he anywhere on your lineup?
He isn't because he needs lefties. If you told me there were a lot of lefties, he'd be somewhere in my roster. But
okay. So you're going those big right-handed bats. D Block, any questions for Charles before he goes in terms of cards or his opinion on certain cards for this tournament?
You said with the defense, with everybody playing there, how much do you think actually defense is compared to an era like the defensive era? How much more defense is defense more value than it would be like a defensive era?
Well, and I guess you can actually estimate that with the number of balls in play. So where would those, if you look at those batting stats that Lab had before, one of the stats they give you is just how many balls in play there are per game, right? So I can, 2023 there were about 24 balls in play per game. And the high in the middle of the defense era looks like, wow, okay, I got up to 29 one year in 1980.
This is 27.15.
Yeah. So it's not quite as big as these early eras when there were like, wow, okay, 1874 there were 40 balls in play per game, but it's more than modern.
Okay, so more than modern.
And also of the defense, I care a lot more about outfield defense in this era, because generally the way to think about it is every additional ball a shortstop gets to is saving a single. Every additional ball your center fielder gets to is saving a double or triple. So
Okay.
outfield range is worth a little more in an era where the doubles and triples are that important.
And especially if they're hit high and far, it's probably a home run. And here is basically a lot of times in the park more than it is in a modern era. Is that something like that?
Yeah. There's probably some of that too. Yeah. So I think outfield defense, I do care about outfield defense, but if you play defense everywhere in this era, you're just never going to score any runs. So you're always figuring out something to do.
All right. Don't see any questions from chat about specific players. I guess we'll leave off on a card that, is it a reach? Probably you're not going to have Fred on your team on this. There's just too many better cards, and you want the righty bats, not the lefties.
Yeah, I'm okay with him as a bat against righties, but a lot of his value is the fact that he's only 49 overall and kind of can pitch in a pinch. And so in a format where you're not desperate for roster spots, I think you can do a little better.
Okay. I think we've given chat and myself and D Block and some options to look at, and good luck in your PTCS, Charles. And Charles, you'll be back
Thanks,
tomorrow.
you too. And who are you playing in the first round? Did we check this out?
Seriously, are you trolling me now? Are you trolling
No,
me?
I just figured you could, is it actually, no, actually I was trying, is this the one you're playing me in the first round, or is that the other? That's what I was trying to remember.
No, I don't. That was last tournament. That was
Oh, last
PTCS
tournament.
9. Yeah. If we go and look at the rankings here quickly, tournament rankings, bronze, come on, here
I thought
we
there was
go.
one I saw you were playing me in the first round. Maybe I'm remembering was it the last time?
It was last time. Yeah, I played you in bronze last time. So currently I am number 21. And so that means I play 108. No, 108. It's
So I just missed you then, because I'm 110.
Yeah.
So
It's some guy named Stream Team. I don't know if you're familiar with Stream Team. Some dog team, like two dogs going at it.
And
The hounds
all right.
versus
Well, then in that case, you got to win this one. Is what I think what I'm hearing.
that's what I'm
Who
hearing.
you're cornered with there. With at 104, Dr. Dynastic. 105 is me. 106, D Dempsey. Then you got Spora. Then you got Charles. Then you got
a big number next to your name means that you're highly ranked, right?
Minerva is right there. So
means you have a very high ranking number.
Yeah, very high ranking. And did you qualify, Charles, for Iron?
I don't think. No, I think I skipped the. I think I just didn't have time to do the Iron. So
Okay. Yeah. So in the Iron again, look, you're going to come across against good teams at some point in time if you're going to win this tournament. So, but that first round, I got to get out of that first round. It's so hard to get out of the first round sometimes. So Spore, you and I on Saturday in round 1 of the bronze. Well, Charles, thanks again for taking some time.
Good luck. We're all rooting for you. The only way I would possibly not root for you is if someone releases a Tony Suck between now and then.
which would not be eligible. Sorry, unless we have a rookie sensation, Tony said. Okay, Charles, we'll see you tomorrow on the Hawk
All right.
Report.
See you a lot. Thanks a lot.
All right.
See you, Charles.
Okay. So yeah, some things to think about. I think, D Block, when it comes down to it, a lot of the cards we're going to use are cards we're very familiar with the Laptop Daily. And we do have to focus on the environment a little bit more. Again, maybe a little bit more power than you're used to. Maybe some defense that you're used to.
Yeah. I think especially the defense, that is, for me, the focus is more on the defense that I am willing to accept normally on my teams. But usually you're playing more in the modern era, where I think the defense isn't in the tournaments isn't that important, because all of those launch angles and all of that home runs. But with this era, like I said in the beginning, I think I will have to reevaluate some of my regulars and basically push them down the road somewhere down the list.
And there's going to be a lot of similar rosters, a lot of rosters that look the same, just mix and match a few places here and there. So do you think sliders? That's my biggest question mark in this game, is how effective are sliders? So in this type of tournament with this environment, do you think sliders are that important, or is it more the micromanaging during the tournament?
I think it's the micromanaging has, I think, even bigger thing in there. But the sliders matter too. I still think that, especially if you're thinking about, if you're having putting some speed on your team, having those not only with the stealing but the hit and run playing here, I think that is one of the things that you can probably do, is the hit and run, having actually people in there who have the ability to go on a single from first to third. Just because of the hit and run there, I think that is it could make the difference here. If you have good race running people with speed, is something to really consider. And I would usually I'm not a fan of going down a level for a player, but that would be something that I could actually consider, going down to iron to get a player there in an environment like this, just because of how difficult it will be actually to score runs. Because I think more like what you said is that we will have a lot of low scoring games, a lot of 3-1, a lot of 4-2 games, and not too many games where people score over 7 runs.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be home runs, of course, because it does, as Charles said, 2.25 per home run kind of run. So there are going to be some home runs hit. Before we get to iron, we got about 20 minutes, 25 minutes before we have to raid over to the next affiliate. So we're going to talk a little bit about iron. In the Laptop Daily, I got knocked out again. Round 1, it's happening a lot. Joe Buck yourself knocked me out in round 1. So Teddy O, if you're in listening distance, congratulations. And so we got Beetle Boy and Teddy O and Brent 3232 has been playing well. Charles, we got your dugout team. We got, again, Makad Carr. This is tough. This tournament is tough, D Block. You and I love the lower levels, and it's frustrating, isn't it, trying to advance in this tournament?
Is that a question? I think it is not.
It's a statement with a question mark. Yes,
okay. I did have actually quite some success over the last 2 months with that, so I love it a lot. But it helps, of course, that I have always 2 or maybe sometimes even 3 teams in there. Like this one here, I have the dugout and I have the cover bed bronze in there. Yeah. So that helps a little bit. But I was like with my with the Wichita Eagles, I was fourth last month. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I haven't had much success this month so far, but yeah.
We don't have a 2-time winner yet in February. Cavacom and Wildcat Bandit and Tiger Cub. Yesterday it was 68 Pirate that beat GT Sundown in the final. Of course, EVC's up there. Music Lessons has been playing well. The Beach Blue Hornets have a wonderful week. They're doing well in a lot of tournaments. So yeah, it's fun, and it's going to be a competitive February here as we race for those 20 packs for the team that does the best in February. All right, we're going to take our last.
It's great that that we didn't have a double winner here so far. It just shows that how the competitive this tournament is, that you have a lot of good teams here.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last break coming up, and then we're going to talk some iron before we close off the show. So we'll be back and check in on the bounty if it's full yet. See you guys in 2 minutes. All right, D-Block, Don't Cut the D-Block, Dragon and I are back for our last segment. We got about 20 minutes, and we're going to focus on a second PTCS here. If you have qualified for Iron and you get to play that on Saturday, 128 teams, again, same ballpark that we talked about before, and the roster restrictions, Iron cards from 1999 and up, including 2023, can be used. No limited edition cards. And again, 1968 environment. Have you started D-Block constructing your rosters yet?
No, I haven't. Just because of the my internet problems, I really haven't. I did have a look at bronze a little bit when we had the show on Friday. I did talk a little bit about that with Minerva, but that was only bronze there.
Yeah.
So
okay, well, let's kind of quickly go through and take a look at maybe some of the pictures that we're considering here. Again, you like to to go by stuff. So let's go, or by pitcher BABIP. So there we go. A guy like John Means, is this a guy that you're going to put on your roster because of that BABIP and control?
Yeah. He's basically kind of like the Timlin card with that extremely low home run prevention against righties. But like I said, I'm probably going to have the Timlin card in there in bronze. That means that I have the John Means on there too here.
Exactly. Like Charles said, the things that hurt Means and Timlin are good for this tournament. So, or the good for this environment. Another one that's often used in the PTCS in iron is this Aceveus. Again, the control, probably not what you want it to be, but I think it's still one of those must-have in your bullpen, isn't it?
Yeah, and with the bullpen. For iron, I think the 46 control isn't even that bad. I mean, we were playing a lot with like a Broncar or a Tommy Byrne cards who have actually a lot less control, and we've had success with those cards. And the Aceveus is one of the more reliable bullpen cards there. I think what we could see maybe here is that there are a lot of life cards that I think are actually interesting to play here.
Oh, give us a
especially as starters.
Who are you thinking?
For example, the Jose Oquidi card. There he is, yeah.
Yeah. BABIP, control, stamina doesn't really matter as much in this era.
Yeah, but Smith is not a live card. But these kind of Reese Olson, Bryce Wilson, those were cards that I was really thinking about when the first look I just gave him here. And I see a lot of live cards that are actually interesting with that control, that have enough. Because when I don't really look at the home run rate there, like a Drew Pomeranz, for example, it was a snapshot card. He would be somebody with the, but the eye is just the control is not really there. So if I see a lot of live cards that are actually better than those type of cards.
Yeah, I mean, we only see one screen here that is pretty much 70 in the green or higher for pitcher BABIP. So it's not like you have a lot of high pitcher BABIP iron guys. As Spora said, Means is a must. All 128 teams should have Means on their team. And I think, this is another, I'd love to have CC Sabathia, the control. And Charles said, well, what kind of pitchers do you have? We saw in bronze that most of your starters were righties. Here we see a good mix between lefties and righties. So it's not just focusing on one type of pitcher or the other.
Yeah, usually you have a lot of you do have a lot of righties in iron, and not so many lefties. We had the Hearst card now that came out, and some other of those cards that are actually were giving us lefty cards because we were only playing righty pitchers there, so no place for Rusty Kuhns to play normally.
Yeah.
But here, especially with all those live options that are actually viable options, we will have a lot more variance in the dominant hand here. And I think that would be very interesting then.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
we actually can use lefties here much more. Righty power much more than we used to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we see a lot of righty throwers here, live cards. So these are all the live cards now. You mentioned Lyles. We got, he's at a 76 control and a 78 BABIP, which is pretty good. Quiddy, who you talked about, pretty good. So yeah, this is one where you can consider some of those live pitchers. Is there a must starter here? Like John Means, we talked about. You're starting this guy because the stamina helps you in this case, in this era. So this is one of your starters. Is there another one that is a must-have? Like we always look at this as a cap card, but in this case, is it also a card you're going to have in the bullpen with CJ because of that pitcher BABIP?
I think so too. Especially if you have those lefties in there, that you're
Yeah.
the lefty power guys there. He could be somebody that you're never really thought about using as a card in a normal tournament, if it's not a cap tournament. But he's good enough, I think. Another card I think I would consider is the Guillermo Moscoso. I had played him at some time in my regular lineups there, and I had a lot of success with him.
What's his rating?
He's a 51. Moscoso.
Maybe I don't own him. Yeah, maybe I don't own him. Is he a live card?
No, he's a
No.
2011 snapshot.
Okay. Yeah, I might not.
Just look at the card shop there for him.
Yeah. How do you spell that last name?
MOSC. That should already give M.
O-M?
C, and that should already give it to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
there he is.
You don't
Well,
have
he's
it. I am 14.
points. I can afford that at 14 points. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that definitely is a card that I think just looking at it. Yeah, for sure.
He doesn't have anything that is really standing out, but the pitcher ballot there. But he's a very solid card there. So he won't give you a lot of different outcomes there.
Yeah, and I do like this card too. Very similar.
Yeah,
and
Brian
here,
Lansing. Actually, a little bit better, even.
Yep. So this is a card I'm going to throw on the team because, again, he's not going to be a starter for me, but he's going to serve well in the bullpen. And the stuff I think is the least important maybe for this era. Well, stuff's still important. You said that stuff is still important, but I think I can still get away with having him in the bullpen.
What do you think of somebody like Josh Towers?
Ooh. I don't think I'd want him as a starter. No. He only has one really good category. I like to have at least 2 or 3 stronger categories, kind of 60 or higher. So
I think he's the guy with the highest control in iron. That is eligible.
Yeah. So good control, but who are your catchers? Who's going to frame for him?
Well, John Means. Very simple. Probably John Means and Mathis probably.
Yeah,
those two.
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes this fun.
There's Brett Main. I was completely
Brett Main.
Brett Main and Mathis. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some interesting pitcher choices. There's not a definite 12 or 13 that you're going to use. Now we're playing in 1968, so I think you probably go 9 or 10, right, for your pitchers?
I would probably go 10, yeah.
Yeah. In a long tournament like this, I think you probably want to be safe and go 10. That still gives you 16 batters that you can, do a lot of platoons on. Okay, we are about 10 minutes left, so maybe we'll take a quick look at some of the positional players here. And catcher's pretty easy. For me, it's Main and Mathis. Yeah. First base, not a lot of choices here. I guess we can put the live on as well because there might be some live options. Let's go batting ratings. I don't know what we want to sort by here. Not a tournament for a guy like Mark McGwire. 3 outcome guy, home run, strikeout, or walk. I do not want to gamble on Mark McGwire. Do you?
Not really. I mean, on the one hand, and on the other hand, since he does not have he has the eye for it. I mean, if we are saying that hits are going to be hard to come by, why not take a chance on him? I think he could be somebody you could actually think about putting in there. Just with that power, he can hit home runs here. He's one of the few guys that really can hit home runs. So I could see that if he has with a 44 here, that there will tournaments that he will have you will have McGuire's here in this tournament that have like a 125 batting average, and maybe even though you reach round 3 has like 3 home runs. And then there will be Mark McGuire's in this tournament that have like 15 or 16 home runs. So if you're lucky that you're getting one of those Mark McGuire's, he can really carry your team at first. I think he's a gamble. And if you have multiple qualifiers for that, I would probably use one team with Mark McGuire. Yeah. Matt Olson is probably the safer choice there.
Yeah. I mean, Charles was considering him in bronze. So
yeah.
I think he's a shoe-in. And the guy I'm playing for sure is Mike Jacobs. We saw how well he did in the last PTCS for some teams. Like I would rather you have a Mike Jacobs than a Mark McGuire. So there's a lot of good options.
The thing there with Jacobs is of course that he does not have the IA.
Well, yeah, you want to platoon him for sure against the righties. I don't know. I think I'd still rather take this profile over the Mark McGuire. Mark McGuire with his eye, he can do a little bit more. More gap. Yeah, for me, it's Jacobs and Olsen at first base.
Yeah.
If this was a cap tournament, yeah, I might go McGuire just to save on a little bit of the cap. But I think for me, it's Jacobs and Olsen. And, Adam Dunn's out there too. He's a weaker Mark McGuire, basically. If you're going to go with this type of profile, I think you probably go McGuire. But then you got Jake Lamb, who can also play first base. Again, really good against the righties.
I will probably play him at third. So
yeah. Okay, so we kind of we're tossing around Olsen, Jacobs, McGuire as 2 of your 3 first basemen. Second base, Cabrera. I think we're on board. Maybe with Cabrera. Beckham. Somewhere in your infield. Who do you like in the infield? Let's just kind of cover second short.
Yeah, I might play Mondesi there and not at short.
Mondesi at second?
Mondesi at second, yeah. Another guy you could use there, of course, is the Tim Beckham card. Another guy you could use there would be like the Jerry Hairston Jr. card. The Shane Holter, of course, you can use there, especially if we're having lefty pitchers there, then he's somebody you really want in there, the Shane Holter. But he can play like really everywhere. And second, third, left field are his best slots, but he can play a shortstop. It's not that big a deal. He can play right field. It's okay. So if we have lefties, he should be in the lineup there. But those are basically the guys: Mondesi, Beckham, Hairston Jr., Holter. Those are probably the guys. You could actually even make an argument for Ryan Schimpf here.
Yeah, Cabrera has been used in the past.
Yeah,
right.
Somebody you used a lot of in the past. He has a lot of eye. He has one of the biggest power bets, I think, or even is the biggest power bet at second base. So has been used with success in the past. So you can make an argument if you make like a Kavacom Iron team, which is a lot of power. Usually, I would consider him.
Yeah. And at third base, I think Shane Holter, you're going to find some spot for him. Beckham can play third. Who are some of the other names that we're missing here at third? Jerry Hairston Jr. can play third. So
yeah, the Hairston Jr. card is also somebody who can play basically everywhere.
He's your Brock Holt of iron almost.
Yeah, exactly, and is good anywhere you put him. He is like the Brock Holt exactly, or like the Shane Holter here. He's not as splitty as the Holter, so there are a lot of. I think we see a lot different lineups here in iron than we see in bronze.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just in the infield, you got a lot of different
Yeah.
ways that you can go in the infield. And then before we get to the outfield, just to go back to pitchers, remember this is a no DH, as Spore mentioned in the chat. So, in a no DH situation, for you, does that impact, the pitchers that you're taking? Like, is Carlos Zambrano? I think you're going to probably take him anyway, but I think because he can hit, you're definitely going to take him and put him in your starting five, aren't you?
If I'm going to put him in my starting five, I don't think so.
No?
I don't
Let
know.
him bat, let him get control's just too low. Control's
That
pretty
14
bad.
control against lefties. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna have him in my lineup. Maybe as a bullpen guy. Yeah, because he's the only pitcher that really has some hitting ability.
Let me
other
put
than
it this
that,
way: since I am going to micro a lot, you probably. I will first of all. I will bring him and put him in the bullpen first. And if I see that that I have a lot of playing against a lot of righties where his control is a little bit better, then we're talk about that. If I see that there are a lot of lefties on the team, I'm not going to put him in there.
Yeah, some good comments in the chat there. Yeah, the bullpen hitting really for a pitcher doesn't really matter because they're.
Yeah, of course I know that, but he's like a micro option. He's a very good micro option, I think, to bring in the right situation. I would consider that as my clear cut number 1, 2 through 5 starter. I don't think so.
Yeah,
not for me at least. But hey,
Spore said he's going to start Zambrano versus Means. So yeah, that'll be a fun one. That'll be a nice scoring game. In the outfield, looking for some of the names I use commonly in on my teams. Who stands out here in?
Yeah, the Willits card, of course. The
Willits.
You have. I would definitely play my regular center field platoon with Almora and Stubbs.
Yeah, Stubbs, Almora. Any live outfielders that you might consider?
Very unlikely.
Yeah,
we have the Willits card. We have even the Shane Halter card, for example. We have that. Both are, of course, the more against lefties. I'm probably not thinking about anybody.
If anything, maybe a Brett Phillips. Brett Phillips might be, an option.
If you're just looking for defense, yeah, he was somebody. He always a nice option as a backup center fielder, or even play him at center field. He has a little bit of power, but yeah. If I play him only, very likely only in the corner spots, and like you said, this card, the Brian Goodwin there, I just so much better than him. I don't think I'm going to play him, even though his defense, of course, is very nice.
Yeah, and I don't think we have a Ken Griffey that can play in this tournament, although, this one has a little bit of eye at least. And one in center field if you want to move him out there. Do you have any iron card, whether it's a pitcher or hitter, just before we end off here, any iron card that might be a little bit of a controversial card that you're going to play that maybe is outside of the norm a little bit?
Yeah, I think the Mark McGuire is definitely one of those. That would be very controversial if you play him or not, and I think there will be people that would love that card. And some of the also with all the competition we do have with the newer cards, the Ryan Schimpf, it's probably not something that you will actually think about right away. Like as an older card, I think a lot of the older cards that we have been playing and have been pushed out of the meta with this in this environment and in this era have at least a chance to come back here.
Well, what about Bobby Estrella? Isn't he a really good card?
Isn't he?
Oh, yeah, it's a wrong one. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Although this one, it's
Doesn't
not
even
too
look that bad,
Yeah.
right? Against lefties.
Yeah, he's not too bad. He might be my third or fourth catching option there. Not too bad against the lefties. And of course, the Jake Lamb, we both are definitely going to have, I think, against our righties in the lineup and
Yeah.
first or third. So,
And what a lot of the cards that are said already here is they're very good against lefties. So that is something that actually maybe especially we don't have that many cards that are that good against righties. So we'll see about that.
Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. There is our little bit of a breakdown on the PTCS bronze and iron. Again, in the chat, there is a link to the baseball reference site that you can look at the different era and the different modifiers and how they did in the different time periods. And you should kind of consider this. A lot of low scoring games, in my opinion. And good luck. Cards should be fairly cheap to get on the card shop for most of them because there's no LEs, no special editions for bronze at least. And good luck to you. You're going to be streaming it on Saturday, are you?
Yeah, very likely. I will have. I'm not sure. I have to basically make up for the missed or the botched stream on Sunday, where it was kind of like at least at one point like 15 minutes ahead of the stream was 15 minutes behind my actual what I was talking about. So that was a kind of strange stream. So I have to make up for that. So I will probably stream tomorrow or at least Friday. I have a preparation stream again, and and then Saturday going to stream from what is that, noon? From noon on.
Yeah,
I have the stream
noon
on,
Eastern
so,
on. Yeah, noon Eastern on.
If you want to stop by, you're of course all welcome. There will be some more players who do that. Like 4 PTCS ago, I was basically the only one doing that. And then of course you now have the choice going to Spora. I know that Tetsuichi is going to stream that. So a lot of choices, and
it's like NFL Sunday. Have 3 or 4 tabs up and just go back and forth. And I'm going to be going to Spore and checking out because I play him in the first round in bronze, and jumping over to you and seeing how you do and your coverage.
Do your own red zone there.
Yeah, your own red zone here on Saturday. And I'm not streaming Saturday because, again, I want to, give time to you guys out there for your wonderful job on the PTCS. And Spore will also be doing a Saturday night card reveal. So his Tuesday treasure trove this week is going to be on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. Going to see some new exciting cards come in the game. And of course, tomorrow, Hawk Report, we are going to cover the unusual one-offs, in baseball history, some of those weird kind of seasons or careers that players have had. So been a lot of chatter about what kind of cards we're going to see there. D-Block, I'm glad you got your internet back. You're ready to go. Thanks for the short, 5-minute warning here for coming on this stream.
Yeah, no
it was good to have you on.
Why
okay, guys.
Shaved?
Yeah.
Why?
Next time.
All
right, guys. Thanks for joining in. We are going to hop over to Dr. Dynastic. Do not touch that dial. We're going to hop over and you can get your drops and watch his wonderful broadcasting of OOTP. Until tomorrow on the Hawk Report. We'll see you then.
A very good friend of mine told me something the other day. I'd like to pass it on to you. I believe what he said to be true. He said we're here for a good time, not a long time. So have a good time. The sun can't shine every day, and the sun is shining in this rainy city, and the sun is shining. Oh, well, isn't it a pity? And every year has its share of tears, but every now and then it's scarlet rain. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So have a good time. The sun can't shine every day.